Hello. How you doing? How's everybody else doing? Everything's okay? I hope.
Every Everything is great, man. Everything is great.
Okay.
We got excited. We got excited for the ring news
Mm.
that we see Teofimeo Lopez and Shakur Stevenson in New York
Uh-huh.
City, January 31st, and a lot of
Hmm.
people been waiting on the when is the official date. So yeah, the official date is obviously was released today again.
Uh-huh.
What's your reaction to the fight?
Well, I'm glad for Shakur. He's finally getting a chance to, fight the guys who say they want to fight. And it's a great opportunity for him to showcase his skills. So I'm looking forward to it.
Tell me, let's backtrack a little bit. Had a great performance against William Cepeda. Fought a fight that was not traditionally could have made it even easier if he wanted to, but he decided to play for the fans. Tell me,
Right.
what was that experience, working with Shakur on trying to kind of fight those battles outside the ring and bringing them inside?
Well, the thing about it is, the only aspect of it that I really didn't appreciate is that it actually slowed his skills down. You know what I mean? He wasn't able to do all the things that he was capable of doing. But in respect to like a guy like Teofimo, I think this is like the perfect fight for him to really showcase his skills. You know what I'm saying? And the move up in weight. I think I talked about you this with you one time before, saying that those kind of things are gonna be inevitable. You know what I'm saying? Particularly with the bones hardening. So, you know, I think this time, right now coming from the Zapata skill, fighting that the type of fight that he fought, and now he has the opportunity to fight the type of fight that he wants to really showcase his skills. So I just can't wait for this fight to happen.
What does it mean to you? I mean, trying to tackle a fourth weight division as well.
Well, I think I talked about a little bit this with you to Bud about Bud too. You know, like all fighters, a lot of fighters, when they in and out of the gym, they walk around at their natural weights, and the big thing for us, none of us really know what their natural weights are. So, as they move up and grow up, and moving to these different weight classes, we think that it's something hard for them, but you never know. You never know what the person really works out at is. You never know what he's in his best condition or what size he is. Because I've seen Shakur many times. We come into camp, he's a lot faster and stronger at higher weights. As he get down, his speed stuff is still there, the power is still there, but it's not as good as it been when he's with those at those heavier weights. So I think the same thing happened with Bud, and we had a chance to see it. Everybody thought that he wasn't going to carry the weight as well as he did. They thought he was going to lose some hand speed, some power. No, none of those things were evident. So I love it.
I know it's when you mention that fight, this is that type of like leader of the new school with this type of fight.
Right.
You mentioned, Shakur was at the Bud camp, training with
Mhm.
Bud for that Canelo fight. And, you know,
um,
how long did you guys know about, it's gonna be Tio after the Cepeda win? How long did you guys know?
well, the first one we knew when he mentioned his name, when T.O. started spitting his name out there, that's the first thing because Shakur is anybody like calls out his name, you want to go ahead and all right, okay, we want to see you. So as soon as he started talking his name, this was if fight was inevitable anyway, because always behind the scenes, like everybody talk about those levels. There's levels. There's levels. See, I think I tried to reiterate it onto you before about those levels. When you go up levels in boxing and you exceed and go beyond the highest level, you're at the top. So a lot of these here guys talk about that they've been at these here levels, whether it be amateur or pros or whatnot. At no point at their life they were at the top of that level. The only one I know in the last 8, 9, 10 years, other than Clarissa and Shakur, who reach those levels in boxing and amateur boxing, to win everything in the world, become world champion, become the number one amateur boxer in the world. You know, that's what you do when you reach those levels. So now, when you start talking about levels, you're supposed to have gotten to those levels. If you haven't gotten to those levels, when you're fighting people with 300 fights and beating them and 200 fights and beating them all around the world, then, you have achieved those levels because we know Olympic boxing and amateur boxing, Olympic style boxing is the highest form and the highest level in amateur boxing. That's the top. So a lot of those guys say they're at this level, they haven't even reached the level in amateur boxing. So let alone, fought the type of guys that are world champions, fighting against champions and fighting against former world champions or whatever right now. Fighting those guys is when you start to really climb levels. But fighting the normal guys out here that haven't exceeded those levels or climbed those levels, you can't say that you're on that level unless you really proven yourself to be a fighter at that level, which none of them have never done. They talk level this, level that, level that. If you look at the level, you'll look at each one of them was always looking at Shakur at every point of their career at the highest level at all. So, I think, they started using that term when Shakur started term saying they level and they not on my level and they're saying level that even though that's been around for a long time. But when in my time, the reference to levels mean when you at the top of the level, okay, everybody is looking up at you. None of them never had a career like that where everybody in the world was looking up at them. You know, and Shakur's been in that spotlight ever since he was 14 years old when he won his first amateur world championship, which none of them never done. And I can tell you quite a few of them have made attempts to, but they never won in the world. It seemed like Shakur was the only one coming home in all the tournaments and all of them, the Continentals, and we done set records in the Continentals, 7 gold, 2 silver, 3 bronze, and shit like that there. That, the teams that we had back then had reached those levels. And a lot of the guys that we talk about today weren't on that level. You know what I'm saying? And amateur boxing, they know that. So when they try to mention Shakur's name and put it on and put itself on that level, they want people to think that they're on that level with him just by mentioning his name, but it's just not that easy. If you want to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk. If you compare any of those guys' careers with Shakur's career, you'll see why none of them even come close. That's the reason why a lot of them always danced around his weight class.
Even Teofimo Lopez.
Even Teofimo. I mean, do you see kids grow? They the same age. You think they never was at the same age, the same size, or same weight? Or just mysteriously fighters just grow past one weight class
Right. Right.
all of a sudden.
Yeah, I mean, we seen that with Devin. I mean, Devin kind of moved at 140. What, 2 fights and just left out of there?
When you look at it, you see a lot of them left 135. You know what I'm saying? And one of them moves up to 140. That's talking the talk.
Yeah,
Not
Frank
knowing.
Martin that's fighting next week. He was one of them that you guys
Yeah.
were supposed to fight. Yeah.
Yeah, well, not realizing Shakur is going to go just like everybody else. So you talk that talk and you walk into that fight. Now it happened. You know what I'm saying? It's been times I've seen some guys, I'm real close to their family, mothers and fathers. I seen one guy and one father talk, go to my son, talking to my son. Yeah, man, we out here, man. My son is the real shit, man, but they got that kid Shakur. He's all this and all that there and all this and all that. So I came walking up at the same time after my son said the guy didn't know because my son was my son at the time. He said, Dad, this guy just said so and so and so and so about Shakur. No, he said, no, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say that. No, I didn't say it. So you see, that's the way it goes. See, because a lot of these things I told you, I know the truth about them. And I've been watching them their careers, so you know, nothing is new to me that they bring to the table. We
Tell
always
me,
look, huh?
Shakur said that he would want to move back down after this fight. What are your feelings about that?
Well, that was his plan all the time. I tell you, people make statements, man, and